It's been 1 month since Bleach Rebirth the Soul's released. I wanted to go back, look at the game, what are the goods, what are the bads, and ultimately answer the question, is this game worth picking up? If you guys do enjoy videos like this, then make sure you guys hit the like button. I am Akai. What yo? Let's hop into this video. What seems like a lifetime ago, or rather 9 months ago, Bleach Rebirth the Soul's first trailer was revealed at Anime Expo 2024.
Who is excited for Bleach?
I remember this being such a surprise because nobody anticipated it. For the first time, Bandai Namco was releasing a Bleach game and everybody was happy. We weren't getting a game from Sony or Sega for the first time in forever. We were getting a Bleach game after 14 years. So it was finally time. Then the game hit its first hurdle. Words, Globku, the words. Not too long after the game was announced, some people like Globku had initially spoken about how they were using these complex words.
Maybe it's something else entirely, but it does sound like it's gonna be weird. Which is why I'm so happy that today Bandai Namco decided to publish a gameplay overview trailer for this game. It's about to premiere, but I'm honestly already scared because the description says, cut down your opponent's reishi, break their konpaku. So it sounds like in addition to learning how this game is going to be played, we're also going to learn some new words here.
And in his defense, they could have used simplistic words. This didn't go so well with the community and they tried to strike back. There were other people who mentioned how the HUD seemed a little bit cluttered. Now we have to admit, they didn't make not just one, but they made two different gameplay overview trailers to explain what was going on in the game, so there had to be some evidence to suggest that, yeah, maybe they should have used more simplistic terms. From here, we saw something I've never seen with anime games up to this point. Trailers almost every Monday. From a consumer standpoint, it made you look forward to every Monday, and from a content creator standpoint, you got content. What I liked most about this is that it gave people something to latch onto as the game was coming out. Oftentimes when video games get announced, they tend to go cold turkey with no updates whatsoever. Kingdom Hearts 4, which has not gotten a single update in the last 3 years. These updates definitely played a role in keeping the community entertained. They could have done more to get the people hyped. Perhaps we could have got more gameplay, more breakdowns of that nature with the character. There could have been a character trailer that week and then maybe a character play session later on. We would get these types of trailers every single week, and it wasn't until closer to the release of the game, sometime in December, we got our first story trailer, which gave us an idea of the type of content we can expect from the game. We learned that the game was covering until the end of Aizen's defeat, and then from there, we started seeing cutscenes, but it became very obvious that this game wasn't going the Naruto Storm route. Naruto Storm route would have different types of cutscenes, whether it was your roam around cutscene to your CGI like cutscenes in the story. A lot of people praise the Storm series for these things, but for Bleach Rebirth the Souls wasn't on that level. Its in-game models pretty good, especially considering Tamsoft was the ones making the game. Now I'm not saying Tamsoft is bad or anything, but when you look at their catalog of games, they're not known for having AAA assets in the game looking phenomenal. Up to this point, Tamsoft's series that they were known for developing was the Senran Kagura games. Now, many people could say lots of things pertaining to those games, but let's be frank. Those games were fan service to the extreme, and if you played those games religiously, we know what type of person you are. Upon us getting close to the release of the game, we soon learned that there were going to be a main story, a secret story, and at the time, something called mission mode. Now, I must admit, main story and secret story sounded pretty good, especially secret story. This was the opportunity for Kubo to tell us things of the game that we may not have known during the actual story of Bleach and give us a reason to play them other than you must play this because you want to beat the game. Well, I will admit, we learned subtle things such as why Aizen really lost against Ichigo in Bleach, And then we even got a fight where Kenpachi fought against Unohana. The main story, however, is told in a way that at first seems very great, but upon playing it is very tedious. You're introduced to very long cutscenes that could have been sped up much more, and you're given decent looking presentation, but with how the anime community tends to operate, this wasn't going to bode well because, oh, this looks boring, and also the forced you must play the story in order to unlock the most powerful character in the game, Dangai Ichigo. Dangai Ichigo was the 33rd character in the game. Some people were okay with this number, others wished that the number was higher. Initially, I say 33 was pretty good, and honestly probably didn't play with every single character on the roster even as of yet. At the time of this recording, I have yet to play with every single character on the roster. If you don't think 33 characters was enough, I think it was enough considering I haven't explored every character yet. But I think there could be a case made that they should have included more characters. In story mode, there are several characters that you fight against who have been told to me have movesets that are more complete than meets the eye. There were mods that happened not too long ago that showed that you could play with some of these characters, and it really begs the question, why didn't Bandai and Tamsoft make these characters playable? There probably could have been like 10 more characters added to the roster, and they chose to cap it at 33. I'm a little mixed on that because I do wish they would have added more of these characters, but it is what it is. Most of us know the story of Bleach, though quite frankly, people who were playing this game as Bleach veterans wasn't expecting the story to be the main selling point. And this is where online comes into play, but online suffered debacles after debacles. When the game came out and we booted the game, one thing became apparent. They didn't anticipate people playing this game in the way they did. Online was bare bones at that. This was the first time I ever seen an anime game come shipped without ranked mode or an in-depth system for it. Datamine suggested that they planned for ranked, and even the devs post-launch had said that they will consider it. Whether it's a yes or no is up to them. Online still had player match in rooms, so surely it was great, right? Well, not quite, because rooms only had a maximum of 2 players. There was no spectator mode, and on top of that, player matches in the way that you could search for characters to search for people to play against was very wonky. The overall experience of online also was suffered due to the lag, the input delay. Again, I don't think they anticipated many people being hyped for the online, and this was one of the weaker points, even though when it comes to anime games, you want the online to have a decent connection. This is where the constant request of rollback comes into play, and also the constant request for crossplay comes into play. And you gotta admit, the way the online works in Bleach Rebirth the Souls, it seems as though crossplay could be implemented in the near future. Are they trying to invest a lot of time and energy into this first game, or even into the series as a whole? They might go to a different type of Bleach game format in the future, because even Bandai had released a survey and they were asking several questions that seems to pinpoint to them making another game in a short time frame versus them taking the time and developing this game. One thing I liked about this game is the music. Come to find out, they got the guy who worked on Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core to do the music for this game, and it definitely shows. The music sets the mood, it gets you in the mode of fighting against people. I think this is one of the strongest points, and I would even make the argument that this has one of the best soundtracks for an anime game. As far as the combat system itself, Bleach Rebirth the Souls gives the characters different ways of attacking, a unique approach to what anime games usually do, which give you more of a simplistic playstyle for all the characters with slightly less deviations. This game promised more deviations, or rather different playstyles for the characters, while making use of the overall same game mechanics. Well, except they even go slightly different. Some characters like Shinsui, once they go into their Shikai, can pop random games, which takes the flow of battle differently. Other characters, if they hit you with their Kiko move 3 times, it's over no matter what. Even though these quirks are very unique, I do find these quirks to be very annoying. They don't allow the flow of battle to be great. Yeah, sure, you got Shinsui's games. The way that they could have been implemented could have been a different way, and I think part of the reason why it's implemented in such the odd way is due to the way they try to go about the battle system. Had this been something more akin to, say, a Storm game or even a Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, balance would not have been the major thing, allowing for the characters' playstyle and the way they go about fighting much better. In fact, I think the balance in the way the battle system was made in this game helps it, but it faults it at the same time, because you're looking at a community who they claim they like fighting games and they want it to be FGC levels, but that was not going to be the case here, and I even suspected that it was not going to get to the FGC levels. Even people like Maximilian Du wasn't impressed with Bleach Rebirth the Souls. Now, this isn't knocking Bleach Rebirth the Souls, it's just saying that I felt as though that this game was meant for one type of player, and that was the Bleach fan who'd been waiting over 14 years for the next Bleach game to play. While the battle system itself can feel refreshing at times, it does feel limited and stiff in a way it goes about playing. In some cases, you might play and think, oh, I can do a sidestep or I could do this, and no, you're very limited in the way that you can move. People have referred to this game as a axis fighter, similar to Soul Calibur, where you're constantly facing the character that you're playing. I do wish they would have went for more of a 3D arena fighter approach. Something more akin to perhaps the Jump Force games or even Storm would have probably been received much better compared to this. Outside of battle, in the story mode and online, there's not really much that you could do. You could tackle something called mission mode, but mission mode is just a series of battles with more difficulty in different settings added on. Kind of like a survival mode, but they didn't want to call it survival mode. And then you have something called the challenge mode, which is essentially doing an extension of the tutorial. It's not really that unique. Now, they do have a reservoir of information for the Bleach lore in the game, and for someone who really wants to go read and study the stuff, this would be a great area to look at. Even when you play through the story, cutscenes and things that you might have skipped because you want to get Dangai Ichigo will be available for you to review and watch again. If this game was the attempt to see if people were interested in Bleach in a video game format, I think it succeeded. If this was a game meant to wow the community, give you guys a really solid anime fighter that is actually taken serious by the FGC, it's balanced, it's fun to play, I'm gonna go ahead and say I think it failed on that part. Bleach Rebirth the Souls is a decent Bleach game, but it's not one of the best fighting games I've played. After 1 month, we're still waiting for DLC to come out for Bleach Rebirth the Souls. With 4 characters to come and still 11 months before all of them must drop, I'm left wondering, when are we going to see these characters? And surprise, we already got leaks to let us know who are these 4 characters. Bleach Rebirth the Souls is a solid entry in the Bleach video game catalog. However, if you're a fan of Bleach, if you don't have the money, I would even suggest holding off on this game. You can re-experience the story of Bleach, and that's great, and that's the strongest point for this game. But if you're someone who's not even a fan of Bleach, I would strongly suggest holding off until the game is on sale, or just don't pick it up. I don't think the game offers anything uniquely for anyone who's into anime fighters like that to pick up this game at full price. If I had to give a fair rating to Bleach Rebirth the Souls, I would say somewhere between a 6 or a 7 out of 10 would be very fair for the type of game it is. Again, this isn't me hating on the game, but this is me trying to come from a fair point of criticism. 1 month later, Bleach Rebirth the Souls. Give me your thoughts. What, yo?